few days passed by. I didn't eat, just talk to anyone. I was to myself, and I felt lost. And
I was on my way to Elshire Beach, ready to have a good time with my family in a car.
And it was really, really fun. And I was really, really sad when she had to go back to Ohio. And so then a few months later, in the middle of the night, I snuck into my parents' bed, because I always did that when I was little. And then a little later, the home phone rang, and it was like 3 a.m.
I remember that day, it was a Sunday, and it was like really gloomy and like gray, and it was like drizzling. And I was at my aunt's house, and she came in my room. She asked me, "Oh, do you want to go to the hospital with me?" And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought that we were going for a visit.
About 7:56 a.m., and I was getting ready to meet my friends so that we could walk to school together. And it was a little before they got out. And I looked around, and the sidewalk looked like it had litter all over it. But then I looked closer, and I realized
she ran to me, and she put her leash in my hand and stuff like that. And then she licked me, and then I said it was going to be okay, and I loved you and stuff like that. And then I was like really crying and stuff.
He was like this really mysterious person that no one could really get into his head and like know anything about his life, but he had this really like crazy personality, and he was always everyone knew about him, even though it's such a huge school. Like everyone knew who he was, and he was always the star of every musical that the school had. And
I like making him like follow my finger and stuff, and I love my fish, so I decided to get my fish like a little friend, like not the same kind of fish, but a tiny little, just another small little fish. And
he stopped eating his food. He swelled out. His limbs were so swollen, and he would get sick all over the house, so we had to keep him in the backyard. And
it's right across the street from the church where my family went to church, and down the street from the other church where my grandparents went to church.
One of the cats was named Chi-Chi, and she was a very mean cat who liked to attack my mom, my aunt, and my uncle, who were in the same house at the time, and my grandmother, their mothers. That was the only person that she loved, because I guess that was the only person who mattered.
And I felt really great. The connection was great, the internet was working, I got my text messages, everything was fine. So the bell rang, so I put it in my bag. I forgot to turn it off that day, which I usually do.
But by 2010, everything was looking better, she was getting better, and everything was going well. But in 2011,
it sounded so much like me, like when people talk about me, or like when my mom's friends talk about me, like my characteristics sound like her characteristics.
It was a little bit overcast, chilly, it was perfect running weather. There was nobody else out because it was so early at that point.
Like I step out, like I step on something, I get pissed off because my new sneakers, my Jordans.
But I don't remember that. Everything else is dark to me, not because it was actually dark, but because I don't remember it.
And like, then, my parents were like, there's nothing really to do right now. So, they're like, let's just see a movie, and like, my mom was very uneasy, and she's like, no, she like didn't want to go see a movie, and I'm like, why do you not want to see a movie? Like,